Fourth grade lesson 1.1. This lesson is about modeling place value relationships. When those numbers get so big, like trying to get our brains to wrap around how big that value is sometimes difficult. And this lesson is just trying to help our brains understand that. So how can we describe the value of a digit? You have probably learned in the previous year where we've had ones places 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we hit the multiple of 10 of that and we group them together in the tens place. Tens place is 10 times more than the ones place. And you were probably pretty comfortable with a hundreds place. So we're just going to build or expand upon that and take us into some of these bigger numbers up to the millions place. So let's dive in. Let's have a look at what these numbers look like. So we'll start off by building numbers through 10,000. And keep in mind, like I mentioned before, each value as you move from right to left is 10 times more, a multiple of 10 times more than the smaller place next to it. There's 10 of whatever was in that one, there's 10 in the next one. So in this case, there's only one little dot here. If you multiply that by 10, you get 10. They are all put together here. And then to move, so that's a times 10. Then to go to the next level, we do 10 of those. There's 10 of these rods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a flat. Sometimes we call that a flat. That's 100. We would need 10 of those flats to make 100. I'm sorry, 1,000. We need 10 of these hundreds times 10 to make 1,000. And every time it is increasing by a multiple of 10. So we have the ones place here. Then we have the tens place, which is 10 of those ones. Then we have the hundreds place, which is 10 of those rods. And then we have the thousands place, which is 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these hundreds, 10 hundreds. Then we have the 10,000s place, which is 10 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ran out of room there. A multiple of 10 for the next one, the 100,000s place, which would be over here, would be 10 of these. That's a lot of copy paste. But I did it for you. I did lots of copy paste. There's 10. I think there's 10 here. A group of 10. 2 group of 10, 3 group of 10, 4 group of 10, 5 group of 10, 6 group of 10, 7 group of 10, 8 group of 10, 9 group of 10, and 10 group of 10 to make 100,000. I hope you're seeing the magnitude, the strength of how big these numbers get very, very quickly. Now imagine the next place value over. So let me go ahead and lay this out for you. Okay, starting here, we started on the previous slide with just one little box, right? And then there were 10 of them put together. And then there were 10 of those. It was a multiple of 10 going each time over. And then there was that cube that made the multiple of 10 from the hundreds place to make the thousands place. And then we had the 10,000s place where I had 10 of those cubes. And then here we are with the hundreds thousands place where there's 10 groups of those 10 cubes. So if I'm going to go to the millions place, think about where that puts me. How much copy paste of little cubes is Mrs. Sanchez going to have to do? If I need to do this amount, this whole amount, 10 times, all of this is 1. And then I would need another one just like that for 2, and then another one for 3, and another one for 4. And Mrs. Sanchez would spend the rest of her life copying and pasting little cubes so that I can show you 1 million. It is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So a million, I didn't copy paste them. I wouldn't be able to teach you today if I just copied pasted those blocks all that million times. So the last 2 slides, 10 times over from the previous thing that we looked at, we'd have to do that 10 times. So So hopefully the picture gets to the point across, mind blowing, so I don't have to copy paste 1,000 of those 1,000 blocks. 1,000 blocks would be what I would need to do. And those, remember, these are the 1,000 blocks. I would need to copy that 1,000 times. So 1 million is 1,000 of the 1,000 blocks. Again, this lesson was just mostly about helping you understand how big those numbers are if you are trying to represent them. And those are using blocks. Now, those numbers are nice. I don't mind copy pasting. If I was copy pasting real dollar bills and I could keep it, that'd be cool. But we were just doing blocks. Numbers get very big, and learning to represent them, learning to read them, learning to use them is what we'll continue to work on as we move forward in the lesson. And so there's two big takeaways in lesson 1.1 that I want you to have in your head. The first big takeaway that I want you to have is that each digit going from right to left increases by a multiple of 10. Let me show you. Okay, so we have a ones place, and the tens place is 10 times more than the ones place. And then the hundreds place is 10 times more. There's 10 of the tens, 10 times more than the tens place. Which means, of course, the hundreds place, because 10 times 10 is 100, the hundreds place is 100 times more than the ones place, right? There's 100 of the ones. So they all relate to each other. But big thing is the level over from right to left is always 10 times more than the one before it. That's the big piece I want you to know here. The other big piece they mentioned in this lesson 1.1 is to help you when you hear numbers mentioned in a different way. So for example, let's say I have the number 1,300. And we're going to talk more in lesson 1.2 about how to read these numbers over. So let's say I have 1,300. Sometimes you will hear people call this 13 hundreds, and they do mean the same value. We're having 13 of the hundreds. We have 13 that ends in the hundreds place. The accurate way to say it is 1,300, but it is not technically wrong when you hear somebody say 1,300. And we could have other numbers that are said in a similar way, but I'm just going to tell you, in real life, you will hear people refer to a number that way. But other numbers, they tend not to do it. Let me see if I can explain that better. Oh, I can't erase that. Hold on, I'll open a new slide. Okay, so I'll explain this one that I was trying to mention earlier. You could call this 15, and all these zeros after it makes us want to take a shortcut, right? So you could call this 15 10,000ths, but technically, for the most part, people are going to take this period here that we'll talk about in the next lesson and name it. It's 150. Then we'll use the end of the period thousands, and that would be 150,000. Okay? I just wanted to make sure the second thing in this lesson that they kind of bring up that will come up in real life is mostly tied to these places. Otherwise, people don't really say the numbers in a different way on the rest of them, on the larger numbers. But in this realm, where you have this thousands place right here, the number, again, we'll cover practicing these numbers in the next lesson, but this would be called 2,400 accurately. But you will in real life hear people call it 2,400 because there's the 2 zeros there. And they're not wrong. It's the same number of little blocks that they're referring to. And so 2 takeaways, just recognizing that sometimes these numbers get called one or the other, but they're still both correct. And the biggest takeaway is that you understand that when you move over each time, it's 10 times of what was before. This place is 10 times more than the ones. So you have 10 ones there. This place is 10 of these, 10 of the rods, right, in here. And this is 10 of the flats. and it just goes up and up and up and gets larger and larger. And so you need, by the time you get to millions, remember that's just mind-blowing how big that number is, how many little blocks we would need, or how many $1 bills we would need to make that large of a number. So that's what this lesson was about. Let's practice a few things in that lesson. So if they ask me, what is the value of the underlying number in this number here? Well, what I can do until I get more comfortable with what these numbers represent, maybe some of you already know, but I would go ahead and put each of these digits in the spot here so I could really see it. And I'm going to have in picture form, I decided to add the picture form of these place values, the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands. Remember, once we got to the 10,000s, that was 10 of these. And then once we got to the 100,000s, that was 1,000 of these. 1,000 of these. So those just aren't going to fit on our picture form. But anyways, let's go ahead and use these pictures to help us out. That way you know too what vocabulary I'm using on these, referring to these little manipulatives. So I'm going to take this number and I'm going to start with the ones place and put that value in here, and then this 9 if that's sitting in the tens place, put it in here so I can see it really spread out evenly. So I've got the 0 in the ones place, I've got the 9 in the tens place. That means I have 9 rods. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost a spillover, right, into a flat. Then in the hundreds place, there's 8 of those. That means there's 8 flats there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 flats there. In the thousands place, there's 3 cubes. In the 10,000s place, there's none. And in the hundreds, thousands place, there are 7 of those, which would be a lot. Remember, that was 1,000 of these. So that 1,000 of these was 100,000. We've got 700,000. So we'd need that 7 times. So that would be a lot of copy paste. Almost a million, right? The underlined value is this 7, and it is sitting in the 100,000s place. So you can start to see how we use this tool to help us. So what is the value of the underlined number? It is 700,000. 700,000. Or in word form, 700,000. Okay, now that you've seen that one done, let's try another example. Okay, we want to know what the value of the underlined digit is in this number. By the way, this number is named 182,034. We haven't covered that yet. That's lesson 1.2, how to read those. But that is how you would say the number if you were to say it out loud. We'll practice that in the next lesson. Let's go ahead and just lay all these out onto our chart. Eventually you won't need to lay it out on the chart. These are like the training wheels of a bicycle. Using this, eventually you can take off the training wheels and you would just know. But for now, if you still need the training wheels to the bicycle, we don't want to fall. So let's go ahead and put it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and start in the ones place and move my way over. 3 tens, there's 0 hundreds, 2 thousands, 8 10,000s, and 1 100,000. Now this is the underlined number. Here it is here. So what is the value of that number? It is 8 10,000s. Or we can call it 80,000s, right? Because 8 tens is 80. So we can call that 8 10,000s. We can call it, and just put a 0. We can put this 8 and then put a 0. There's 4 zeros there, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can call that 80,000 because 8 tens is 80, right? So 80,000. Either of those would be correct answers for this. It's just recognizing where it falls within its own period. These groupings are called the periods. We'll talk more about those in lesson 1.2. Okay, the other type of question you might see as we look through this is they want us to compare the values of the underlined digits in a set of numbers. In this case, for this example, we're using 2,000 and 200, and they've underlined the 2's. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these numbers on our training wheels. We'll put 2,000 here, And we'll put 200 here. All right, there we go. And so how does this value, this 2, compare with this 2? Dig back into your memory here. Remember what I said about how much it increases every time we go over. It's a multiple of, yeah, you're right, 10. It's a multiple of 10. It's 10 more, and then 10 more again, 10 more of these, and 10 more of these. So we could say that 2,000 is 10 times larger than 200. Or 200 is 10 times less than 2,000. It could go either way. Okay, if I were to look in my school book, they've got the sentence frame here. They have this sentence frame for us. The value of 2 in 2,000 is how many more times the value of 2 in 200? So the value of the 2 in the number 2,000 compared to the number 200 is how many more times bigger? How many more does it increase each time? It increases by a multiple of 10. The value of 2 in 2,000 is 10 times the value of 2 in 200. So that is how you answer those. And it's just kind of trying to get into your brain that each value is 10 times more than the value before it. Okay, now that I've shown you a few, let's see how well you understood it. So I've got this here, find the value of the underlined digit in 63,540. Pause the video and try it, and then push play when you think you've got the answer, and we'll see how you did. Okay, you have pressed play again. I'm going to go ahead and put this on our training wheels, and the 4 is my underlined value, and it is in the tens place. So they are 4 tens is the value of that. 4 tens rods. Here it is in pictures. Those 10 rods, like that. There's 4 of them. If you called that 40 or 40, that's acceptable too. They're all correct. How did you do? If you got it, great job. You're getting it. If you didn't, as long as you know where your error was at, or if the clarification of trying it helped so that you could see once I explained it that it made sense, that's great too. It's as good as getting it right as long as you tried it. Let's try another. Okay, find the value of the underlined digit in this number. This number is 345,890. Go ahead and put it on the training wheels if you need to, and tell me the value of that 5. Push pause. Okay, you have pushed play again, and you've tried it. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the training wheels. And this underlined value is this 5 here, and it lives in the thousands place. So it is 5 thousands, or 5,000. It could be written either way, same number, same value. Hopefully you're feeling pretty confident about how those work. Okay, let's look at an example of the other one where we were comparing two values. Okay, here's the next one. We want to compare the values of the 4 in the numbers 40 and 400. So go ahead and put them on the line. Here's your sentence frame. The value of 4 in this number is how many times the value of the 4 in the other number. So the bigger number is going to be the one that goes here because it's some amount bigger than the value. So go ahead and fill that in. Pause, try it. Okay, you have paused, and now you are checking your answer. I start by putting these numbers on the training wheels. Okay, the value of the 4 in the larger number is 400. So I'm going to put that there because it is a value bigger than the one of 40. So that's how I'm setting up the numbers. I'm always going to put, in this particular sentence frame, I'm going to put the larger number first because they're saying it's times the value of, meaning it's bigger. If you times something by anything other than 0, it makes numbers bigger. So I know that this is a value bigger than this one. How many times bigger? Well, this one was in the tens place, and this one was in the hundreds place, and by now, hopefully, you have clicked into your brain that every time we go over, it is 10 times bigger, a multiple of 10. So we could put 10 times the value of 4 in 40. Okay? Just for practice sake, what if it was 4,000? Now I've gone up 10 and then another 10. Well, you know what 10 times 10 is, right? What is 10 times 10? It's 100, right? We just put that 0 with that 0. It's 100. So in that case, I would say the value of 4,000 is 100 times the value of 4 in 40. So you just keep putting those zeros together no matter how far you go over. Now this lesson didn't expect you to understand that. I'm just throwing that out there at you because at some point as you go higher up in your math, that will come up. Understanding those place values and understanding that they're multiple of 10 each time is really the key piece of information. I hope you're getting it. If not, make sure you come see me or send me a message so that I can explain it better to help your brain understand.